Welcome back, everybody, to the Automated Coach podcast. Today, I have for you internationally recognized as an authentic, motivating mentor for female entrepreneurs, Joey Flesner. She is a certified business coach and founder of multiple interactive communities designed to foster purposeful connections between women. And her clients have affectionately referred to her as an expert connector, a servant-hearted business doula, and a meaningful matchmaker of business besties. And I can attest to that because she has made multiple connections for me as well. So welcome, Joey. Thanks so much for joining us here in the Automated Coach podcast.
I'm so excited to be with you, Denise. Thank you so much for hosting me.
We always like to give you a chance to tell us a little bit more about you and what you do and who you serve.
Sure. I like to say I serve a community of women who are eager to grow their business and make purposeful connections, as you alluded to earlier. This business really has morphed over time. It's been a fun journey to be a part of. I began back in the direct sales arena more than 20 years ago and had great success with that. Really loved it. Really enjoyed all of the education that space provides, the connections that space provides. But my company that I was quite successful in, unfortunately, gave their leaders 3 days notice back in June of 2011 that they were closing their doors. And
Wow.
so many of us lost a six-figure income overnight and lost our identity of sorts in a
Right.
or at least so it seemed in the beginning. So I launched the Etiquette Network back in the fall of 2011 with the idea of inspiring a nationwide network of women and men, whether they be in the corporate or the entrepreneurial space, to treat their business more like a business. I'm a certified etiquette trainer. And so I would go into many small and even large, some Fortune 500 companies, to do lunch and learns, do keynote breakouts to specifically talk about etiquette and business etiquette and those types of things. Well, after finding a gap in traditional networking, because I was a mom of young children at the time who I needed to get on the school bus every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. So those traditional networking structures really were not a fit for me based on
Right.
time, based on level of commitment. And so out of that, I spawned my own connection organization, if you will. Wasn't really intending for it to become what it has become, but really just wanted to get women in a room together to support one another in business, to share their endeavors. And after spontaneously doing that 1 month, they wanted to do it again and again and again. And so here we are today with a pretty large nationwide network of women through my organization called Professional Moms Network, where we facilitate over 280 events every year for women to get together in person to support one another. And then, of course, COVID led us to the online space more
Mhm.
quickly than we thought we were going to need to get there. And so we host about 150 Zoom meetups every year, again, for women to get together, to grow together, to learn together, to share about their business, and then to shine on stage as presenters, which is how you and I met.
Exactly. I love hearing people's business origin story because there's so many different paths to where people are now. Some people are very, this is what I always wanted to do when I grew up and had a whole plan. Whereas for other people, it is more organic and the one-time thing turns into a two-time thing, turns into a whole business. With all of us who are in business, and I'm sure you see a lot of examples of this, we all tend to go through some sort of business struggles. And I'd love to hear about how you overcame a struggle in your business.
Well, obviously, there are daily struggles. And I think really when we think about the word struggle, all of us can handle different amounts of conflict, right? If you will.
Mhm.
What one might consider a struggle or an obstacle, someone else definitely does not. And so I think one of the things I've discovered about myself along the way is I very transparently don't really see obstacles as obstacles. And that's not really just a catchphrase. I just think it's part of doing business, right? Every day I know I'm going to have new challenges thrown my way. And so I can't really think of many times that I've ever gotten to a place to say, whoa, something's standing in front of me and preventing my progress. It's always, yes, hey, here's a little challenge I've gotta figure out today, but I get asked that a lot by interviewers, if you will, of what's a big struggle? And maybe it's just I'm built a little bit differently. Perhaps it's from my upbringing or being in organized sports for many years. I'm not really sure. I haven't really pinpointed exactly why I'm this way, but I don't see one big, massive struggle. Now, by the grace of God, I haven't come across a major personal struggle like health or loss of someone very, very dear to me that has derailed me in that way. But from a business standpoint, usually when I come across something, it's just like, well, okay, here's one other thing I have to figure out the way around. But I will say, if I had to pick the biggest headache in my business,
Mm.
it is the technology side of things, right? It's having visions that feel greater than technology. So
Wow. Mhm.
I wanna do really creative things, and I don't always know the technological way to make that happen, and I'll meet somebody that might have an answer for me or a suggestion for me, but they never have a suggestion for the entire vision. So I feel like a lot of baby steps have to happen to get there, and then by the time we get there, I've had a new vision or a new implementation or technology has moved so fast that now I want to explore another path. So maybe that's my biggest challenge if I have to pick one is one, keeping up with technology. And number two, really finding the one piece that doesn't have to be custom built that can accomplish these grand visions that I have.
And knowing that, first of all, just this idea of, I know there's this thing that I want to have happen. I have this vision, and knowing, perhaps knowing, I know that there is a way for this to happen, that out there somewhere this exists, but just not knowing the path to get there and not being able to find the people that connect. And then just like you said, trying to keep up with technology, which we're never going to do. We're
Yeah.
never going to. And so there's always, just when you get something done, then it's the next new thing. And especially with the rapid growth of AI tools, every time I turn around, there's a new something or other, which is exciting and exhausting all at the same time.
Well, and also financially burdensome.
Yes.
So, depending on what it is we're trying to accomplish, really weighing out that ROI and determining is it worth investing the money here to only have to redo it or upgrade it 6 months from now. I know I struggle with that, and I feel like most of my clients are also in that position,
Mhm.
really trying to determine where dollars are wisely invested, and technology is a little scary because it does move so quickly, and things become so quickly outdated that you feel like you're in this perpetual cycle of having to reinvest, 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 and
Right.
is the income keeping up with that?
And one of the things that I encourage clients to do is to, when you're signing up for a new technology, if they have the option for a monthly, sign up for monthly rather than annual, at least to begin with, just besides seeing if you like it, but a month from now, something newer and shinier that actually truly would be a better fit may come out. And then now you're locked into this year long contract. Once you're settled, then pick a horse and ride it. But if you're still trying to figure out which path you want to go down, then subscribe monthly rather than lock yourself into a year if we're trying to
Sure.
be budget conscious.
And I'm finding also, and I'm hearing this buzz as well and experiencing it in my own business. Once you pick a platform in a lot of these scenarios, you're really locked into it because the minute you cancel it, those subscriptions aren't going to transfer over, or a lot of the code may not match that's transferred over. And so they are pretty big commitments and they're smart. A lot of these apps or softwares that are developed, they've developed them very, very wisely because they know it's almost like an addiction. Once you start, it's very hard to get off of.
Yes,
That can be a challenge also.
very true. So let's talk a little bit more about how your business operates and how people flow through your business. How do you go about collecting leads in your business? How do you convert those leads into sales? And then how do you support your clients?
Okay, let's start with the first part. So, first part was how do you collect leads?
Correct.
How am I collecting leads? All right, so I have really 4 primary initiatives in my business. So, the Etiquette Network powers my first initiative, which is Professional Moms Network, and those are the in-person luncheons that we host around the United States. Leads for that all have come through one primary means, and that is Facebook. And I have a very creative strategy. It's actually a course that I teach. It's 6 hours of content. It takes me about that long to effectively train it, and it's called How to Monetize Facebook. And I utilize the skills and the little tips that I have implemented utilizing specifically Facebook event pages. So using Facebook event pages to bring in leads when people click going or interested, we then proactively reach out to them to see if we can answer their questions and get them to buy a ticket for one of our events. So Professional Moms Network has been through Facebook primarily and through word of mouth.
Okay.
Loft, because we're in a virtual space, the leads there also start at Professional Moms Network. So when a woman attends one of our luncheons, we invite her into our virtual community because we host about 10 meetups per month, all with a different topic geared at helping a female entrepreneur. So if they're at a luncheon to grow their business, we want to invite them into the Loft. So that is one lead funnel. Loft also, because it's virtual, we have landing pages that we utilize through Go High Level and through Aweber, trying to figure out if we're fully going over to Go High Level. We've used ClickFunnels as well, but we do more of that modern day digital marketing strategy for Loft, which is the landing page and then moving them through a funnel of sorts. We then have our retreats several times a year. And that lead funnel, again, we really haven't automated. We're pulling mostly from women who are in one of those aforementioned communities. And then my business coaching, also, I keep a full, abundant plate with that through the women that I meet through those 2 communities. So really the only one I would say that's automated in a modern day digital marketing space currently is Loft to some degree, but it could certainly get much, much better. And all of those 4 initiatives that I mentioned, we're looking at moving more into generating leads through digital marketing. But I also have to make wise decisions of an entrepreneur of how fast and how quickly I really want my businesses to grow.
That's really wise. Is that a challenge? Is it potentially growing too quickly?
Yes. Probably one of my biggest challenges, outgrowing my own bandwidth or outgrowing my team members' bandwidth, and then finding the right team member that can come in and navigate the various tasks that I need to have achieved. On a monthly basis right now, I have 8 people that are on my payroll, amazing team members that do lots and lots of different things for me. And some months I'll bring on a couple of more for just very part-time work that I need just a task or a project done and completed. But 8 women on my team who have regular tasks, they're very hard to find. Those women are so valuable to me because they know me and they know my business. But to grow anymore means I've got to give them more work, and sometimes they also don't have the bandwidth for more work. So overgrowth, fast growth, scaling is a challenge.
Yeah. And I think it's something that people don't take into consideration as they are growing their business. And this assumption that, oh, I want, more, 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 without really thinking about, well, what are the consequences of more? How many more people can I actually take on, or can my systems take on? And is this an automation issue, or is this a delegation issue, or a combination of the two in order to make sure that my business is set up to scale?
Right. And finding a way, since my business is so high personal touch, finding a way to grow that is hard because it always requires more of me. So, are there ways that I can get creative with growing, but still making it so very personal? And I know we as women, most of us are so very heart centered in our
Mhm.
business that we always feel like we need to have that little personal touch. But I'm also learning that personal touch doesn't have to be in absolutely every aspect. Maybe you just do it heavier in one or the other. So I'm still navigating that.
Mhm. And you kind of touched on the other areas, but is there anything else that you do to support your clients? And we can morph into the next question about any other automation that you use in your business that you want to share.
I do tons of stuff to support my clients. I feel as though we have automations for lots of reminders, an email system, a CRM. Again, I do a lot of in-person events, so I try to show up as frequently as I can to support them. Our registration system is automated. Getting them registered from one event for the follow-up event is also automated. Then there are also the team members behind the scenes that are still doing some copy and paste,
Hmm.
not necessarily automating that, but also trying to determine if it makes sense to automate that. So, a lot of touch points and a lot of opportunities to encourage the women that come into our community to find multiple ways to continue to be involved in our community, which are all various touch points along the way. Automation is about right now, maybe 40% of my business.
Okay.
So I would say 60% gap still there in the automation piece. But again, not always easy to find a solution.
I like the blend of automation and manual touches that you provide. So, as a member of one of your communities, I like that when you do have a gathering scheduled, that there are, of course, the email reminders, but then you also personally send a Facebook message. And it's just an additional touch point, but it also adds that personal connection.
Yeah, that's the unique position that I'm in with the virtual community, more so even now than the in-person community. I don't touch the in-person community as frequently because, again, I have those amazing team members that handle their own region. But for the Gloss Loft, that's still me out there sending the personal messages. But I also think that's why I attract the right women to that group because I really have an opportunity to have more conversations, not necessarily to vet them to see if they're a right fit, but more so to make sure that my style is a style that's going to be comfortable with them, that they like, that they want that personal exchange from me. So for people that just want an automated system and just want to show up at a Zoom and exit stage left, they're probably not ideal for us because I do like to get to know them. And the better I can get to know them, know their habits, do they show up on time? Do they sign up for things and not show up? It helps me to guide them as a coach and the content that I provide. And it also helps me make the right connection for them. So I don't see my business ever going in a direction at my age anyway, where I will not have some sort of personal touch. I'll never be 100% automated.
Yeah. Can you share 3 tips with our audience so that they can learn more about your area of expertise?
The first thing I always like to share is consistency and visibility in your business are two vital aspects. So, knowing that you feel passionate about what you're wanting to share with the world and being convinced of that in your mindset, knowing that no matter how someone reacts, that you are still going to be loud and proud about what it is that you have to offer is the first step. And so, once you have that level of certainty and confidence, that hopefully leads to more consistency in one's business. So I think that's the consistency piece. And then the visibility is, are you putting yourself in front of enough people to stay visible consistently? So that would be tip number one, is just stay visible and stay consistent if you are passionate about your purpose. And I hope that everyone would be if they're putting time and energy into something. That would be tip number one.
And so when you say visibility, what I didn't hear you say, which I do frequently hear people say, is show up on TikTok consistently. You're saying perhaps go out in the world, perhaps go to some of these networking events and just literally be in the places where your audience is. It doesn't have to be on social.
Yes, and I'm a big in-person person, but I do respect that great relationships are now being made online as well. I would say if I were to pose to you though, if I just put Gloss Loft in front of you over and over and over again as an example,
Mhm.
but I never reached out to say, "Hey, let's hop in a Zoom one-on-one," or have one of my team members do that with you, one of my onboarding ambassadors, so that I can get to know you and your business. The chances and the length of it taking me to convert you through so many electronic touches
Right.
are so much greater than if I can spend 15 minutes with you and have that personal touch with you and really be visible in front of you. Whether it be you coming to one of my free workshops, free speaking engagements, maybe it is an in-person event, but online specifically, if we can have an exchange like we're having now, I'm much more effective in fully explaining the benefits of my community, but also hearing what your needs are so that I can match the needs with the benefits. Classic sales technique, right? Match
Yes.
someone's needs with the benefits of what you provide. If I'm just electronically doing all of that, I'm never hearing your needs unless I'm surveying you or targeting you, tagging you in some way. So, for my unique space, it makes better sense for me to encourage my women, go be visible, find those ideal clients, and see if you can have a one on one with them or have a one to several with them. I know the
Right.
one to many concept is also possible, but I think the one to many just isn't necessarily a fit for my business. And when I say many, I'm meaning 1 to 100. I'm usually talking
Right.
to a group of 10 or less, and then I can move them along the path a little bit more easily. But I know that that's not for everyone. For many, 1 to many is very wise, and they're just printing money, and that's great. I'm a little bit different in my business in that the end goal isn't always just cashing the next check. And so I have the privilege of being able to really build relationships. So that for me, that's what visibility means. It means just get in front of your people, let them know who you are by all of the technology and the nurturing and the marketing that you're doing. But then those warm leads that have taken one more step in your direction, if you can find a way to get in front of them, I find more success with that approach.
And what's your second tip?
All right. So, tip number two would be utilize your community for collaboration opportunities over competition. So, I deal with a lot of women that live in the same industry or do the same job.
Mm.
Two of the same companies might walk into a room and I might see the discomfort, or they might even say to me, "Oh, somebody that also represents my brand," if they're in network marketing or direct sales,
Right.
is also here. And I like to say, you know what? That's amazing because they're probably going to be the person in the room that you want to get to know most. Why? Because let's say we both sell the same cosmetics line. I wanna tap her brain to know what works for her and what doesn't work for her so I don't make some of the mistakes if she's willing to share with me. And I fully believe that the best thing I can do for someone's business is to support them in theirs. And so if I can give them tips about what's working in my business and maybe avoid them some pitfalls, I think it will come back around to me in some capacity. So having that collaboration over competition mindset is transformative. It makes you feel better about yourself. It keeps you away from imposter syndrome because you're looking at every relationship as an opportunity to learn and grow from someone else.
And it all goes back to that idea of mindset and that you really truly need to believe that what is for you is for you. And so we're not in competition, because if this person is going to be my client, they're going to be my client. If they're going to be your client, they're going to be your client. We're not fighting over this person. And as you said, by lifting one another up, others are lifting us up. And it's that what goes around comes around mindset.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And then tip number 3 is going to be in that same vein, in tapping into the best thing you can do for your businesses to support someone else in theirs.
Mhm.
Go out and find someone that you align with, that you like what they're promoting, and support them in business. Out of that, not only are you oftentimes maybe even going to get a client out of it, and that shouldn't necessarily be your motivation, but usually when I go support someone else in business, it's natural for them to wanna support me in turn. But even more so, through that process, I'm learning how to communicate with people. I'm learning how to open my eyes to other opportunities than just me making a quick sale. I'm really giving more than I'm receiving in the moment, which has a weird way of making me receive so much more in the long run. It's a philosophical standpoint that I hold very deeply and commit very strongly to, and it has benefited me. So I think it's also benefited many, many wise business people that I've read their books or been inspired by. So there must be something to it, right?
Right.
Giver's gain, or to make your business flourish, go help somebody else make theirs flourish. I really have found that to be true in my world. So, anyone that's listening to this or comes across your podcast or any of your amazing regular audience members, do that shift. Go find somebody that you can support. See if somehow it comes back to you over the course of some certain amount of time or maybe immediately. And if you keep seeing that that is horrible advice, send me an email and let me know, and let's have a conversation about it.
You actually give the opportunity to do this in the programs that you offer through the Glass Loft. And for the listeners, I am a member of Joey's group, the Glass Loft. And when you have the meetups at the end, you leave time for people to share an opportunity. And everybody who's there, if they have something that they want to offer, can make this very special offer. First of all, I love that you give that space, because a lot of groups don't let you even talk about your offers in those conversations. So here, everybody's getting a chance to make an offer. And along the lines of your third tip, I always try to find somebody who I'm going to support and take advantage of somebody's offer that they're making during that period of time, because it's giving back, because it's supporting the group. And sometimes people will take advantage of my offer, sometimes they don't. But in the grander scheme of things, it's that putting that out into the world, like you were just talking about.
For sure, and that is why we do it, is to just start that ripple effect, but also it's very strategic and tactical because, Denise, let's be honest, if you and I, and this is more women-centric than it is men, and since I'm the leader of women's communities, I'm gonna stick in the women's lane for now.
Mm.
Love the men in the world too, and they have a different style, and this may apply to some of them, but I know for it to be true in the women's community. Let's say that I take you up on your offer, or I see that you've done something great and I reach out. Isn't it instinctually in you, as I'm talking to you now because we've met and I said, "Denise, love your offer. It sounds so good." Aren't you feeling a little bit more in some way wanting to support me because I've supported you? It doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean you might buy from me, but you might do a shout out or a testimony for me, or you might share my group with someone. There is something intrinsically in the healthy human mind to say, this person reached out to extend a bridge across the water to me. I'm in turn going to feed them when I get across the bridge. For
Yes.
people that aren't like that, there may be some other things going on, but I think your normal, average, giving, servant hearted female in business, if you take a step toward them, they also are typically wanting to take some step toward you. So I'm not saying to do it from a manipulative standpoint, like, oh, I'm going to buy Denise's offer just so she'll help me.
Right.
but it just flows that way. And so when I see someone that I'm genuinely interested in, I think they're doing great things in the world. I know they've got amazing talent that I or someone else I know can benefit from. Of course, I'm going to go see how I can help them because I'm genuinely intrigued by what they have and I'm in alignment with them. And in turn, because I align with them, most of the time they're going to find some common ground to align with me and to want to come my direction as well. So I just think it's wise business practice.
I agree. So, our listeners here at the Automated Coach podcast are action takers. What is one action you would encourage our listeners to take?
Based on the tips that I've shared today, I would encourage them to one, look at their list of to dos. And over the course of the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where are they being visible? Ask themselves, where am I being visible? And can I go find a new community of what seems to be like minded people? Facebook group could be there, could be going live in a Facebook group where everybody loves riding bikes and I sell bicycle tires. I don't know what it is for your listeners, but go find a place where you can be visible. Anyone can take that action. And on tip number 3, go help someone else in their business. Anyone can take that action without needing to be prompted. So those are 2 action steps that I always encourage and I find that you can never go wrong with.
Well, Joey, this has been amazing. I know that our listeners are going to want to stay in contact with you. Where can our listeners follow you online?
Well, we have 2 platforms on Instagram, and I hope that you'll put those in the bio, but I'll just read those handles out now. For Gloss Loft, our Instagram handle is Go Gloss Loft, so Go Gloss Loft, and our Professional Moms Network handle is professional_moms. So if they are Instagram peeps, they can find us there. I'm always open to someone sending me a direct message on Facebook. I'm very visible there. Joey Flesner. I'm the only one I believe with that name on Facebook, so they can certainly find me there. And then if they're the emailing type and want to send an email, professionalmomsnetwork@gmail.com or hello@glossloft.com. And those are some options I have for them, depending on where they like to hang out.
Thank you. And could you spell your name just so that if people are listening to this, they'll be able to find you on Facebook?
Sure. Joey is Joey, and my last name Flesner is F as in Frank, LES as in Sam, NER. And I look forward to receiving a couple new messages, making a new friend or two from your listeners. Thanks so much for having me, Denise.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for listening. And I will see you next time on the Automated Coach podcast.